The battle rap culture has changed. It's been changing. It's just certain changes were far, far ahead of their time. You think about contracting, you think about exclusivity, you think about the landscape of all the leagues, you think about battle of movement, you think about concepts like, let's say, leagues, like a real league, like an NBA, where you sign a max contract to a particular team and then you can't go anywhere, right? You're gonna play for the Warriors for X amount of years. You're gonna play for the Spurs for X amount of years, and then when it's time to re-up, you re-up, or you become a free agent, you go somewhere else, etc., etc. One thing that I've been saying for over 10 years, like I screamed about this when y'all first met me. I got old interviews on Doggy Diamonds talking about it. I got old interviews um, on all different types of platforms. Hip Hop is Real, blogs, even in our trailers, talking about the diversity. You know, there was always one thing about battle of movement that was always going to be the bigger issue as far as like against my argument, and that is battlers maintaining their quality. You know, when you take a lot of battles, because it wasn't always just thought about, it was check collecting back then, right? Back then, well, with the exception of Averb, like if you know your history, he was called Payverb, right? But back then, you know, if you battled a little bit more frequent, if you moved around a bunch, you know, especially if you were doing good, you know, you were praised for it. Math Hoffa might have been one of the very first people that really, really showed at a top tier level. You can take five, six, seven battles a year. And if you dominate, and they will love you for it. You pop up on these different leagues. You become your own brand. You take control of your own career. You know, and of course, you know, we're going to play the clips of Chess and Rock, and we're going to talk a little bit more about, you know, that dynamic with Surf specifically. But let's continue to warm up. That history, man, nobody will ever remove my opinions, because within some of my opinions, not all of them, but within some of my opinions are hardened facts, facts that come with having common sense and just seeing what's going on, facts that come with documents, facts that happen with occurrences, certain conversation, all different types of stuff, right? So I always knew what I knew about the field of battle rap. Battle rap is such a small niche market that, you know, there is a political, financial, league level of competition that has always been there. It's always been very, very strong, because it people don't look at battle rap like there's enough talent, enough stars, or enough money to go around. In certain respects, that's true. In certain respects, not all. In certain respects, that is actually true. But like in any other field, if you're good, you're good. They will say it's not your turn, Wemby, and he says, yes, it is. Fuck all that maturity shit. The West is mine. Goodbye to the reigning champs. You know, that happens in every field. You know, you're gonna have a new watch that comes in. You're gonna have a new car line that comes in. You're gonna have a new clothing designer that comes in to a certain space, a new movie director that's going to work with Denzel for the first time. Meanwhile, these other directors, it's every industry. Like when you look at some of the competitive natures of like King of the Dot and URL, they had a lot going on. Now, the biggest rivalry and the longest lasting one then became URL and RBE. And there's so many events that happen in the midst of that. But when we just talk about battle of movement, we just focus on that. That narrative is something I was just like, I know what this home league stuff and what these narratives are really about. It's not the protection of the battle rappers, not at all. Funny, fast forward, some of these same league owners today, they'll publicly say things like, "Nah, go get your bag or whatever, move around," or "No, I'm gonna pop out of this event," or "I support that event," or "I support that," because you kind of have to now. Like the strongholds on battle rap have been lost. Um, some have been torn down for good reason and for bad reason. Now, because of the state of battle rap right now, and because of the way 2026 is going, the structure of things, the lack of quality, the lack of professionalism, the lack of things being taken serious, the lack of money, all these things makes us say, damn, we kind of want some of the structure now, right? It's never what you do, it's how you do it. So that's what birthed a lot of that then. And then when you got into like a lot of the multi contracting and the elongated contracting, etc., could it be beneficial for a company to retain talent? Of course. But there was always an element of competition there, which is why you have a lot of battle rap. I was just having this conversation behind the scenes with somebody yesterday. You have a lot of battle rappers that they were able to make money because of the competition. They were able to negotiate because of the competition. They were able to leverage because of the competition. You got a lot of battle rappers that once certain levels of competition is gone, once certain leagues are gone, or step aside, or they're not even putting in money into certain areas anymore, battlers lose a lot with that as well. You go from being a battle rapper who can demand, don't call me unless you got 100 grand, to the battler that starts talking about like, oh no, you're not going to get that amount of money. That's an example of Murder Mook. Murder Mook historically is the guy that you know raised the roof for a lot of battle rap. It's just that's what they say historically, as far as getting on that stage versus Iron and calling out actual numbers, putting it out there like a number, like I believe it's $25,000, and then make people turn their head, and then he campaigns, we got to get what we're worth. Loaded Lux kind of followed suit to a degree, right? Remember there was a Loaded Lux and URL fallout. That's when Smack started the bars over names campaign on platforms like Vlad TV. Lux went on Vlad. I think he spoke against you. You know what I mean? Like those back and forths about money. But after that, when you have these losses of finances or sponsors or leagues that can raise the roof financially at the snap of a finger, like a RBE, then a Murder Mook doesn't do interviews saying like, yo, we ain't, this is what we on. It becomes, hey, Bridge, you asking for too much. But in the past, people were speaking like it was a limitless pot. It was never limitless, but there was more money available, whether it be caffeine, whether it be RBE, whether it be King of the Dot having heavy sponsors at the time, whether it be URL having other sponsors at the time, like a Harry, etc. Things change, the Geralds, things change. And now people, they have to they have to accept what's available. The market has changed so much, and it's even killed a lot of the league competition, because a lot of that shit was people be loyal to their opportunity and to their bag. You can maybe spot one or two, three, four people in this bitch that have true league loyalty, where it's just like no matter what, I will never burn or step aside from or do anything to hinder that platform that platform owner or those owners. Other than that, it'd be a facade. Like people will say F you on camera and then off camera tell me fuck them niggas, and they'll play the middle. Um, so you don't even really hear the F these other leagues too much anymore. I don't see a bunch of battle rappers running around talking about FTBL, FT Tops League, F the Riot, F Calico's League, um, FRBE. I mean, hey, we just came outside and did a little something, shook things up a little bit, right? F King of the. I don't hear that shit anymore, right? Because the availability to stay solid in one place, it's been dead. It's been gone. People need the diversity more than any other period within battle rap, So Tay Rock, he wins a Cody. Now start to move a little bit more into the chess and the rock and the surf. Tay Rock, he wins Cody. I don't have his Cody resume in front of me, but how many of those battles were off URL, for example? Um, One of his biggest battles as well recently, right, versus Big K. Think about even some of the theme of that matchup. The theme of the matchup going in was like an RBE guy versus a URL guy on neither platform. On King of the Dot, which is also for that card, I believe, sponsored by as well TBL at the time, people from TBL. And then in the third round, Big K turns the room blue. And then what does Tay Rock do? He goes to the screen. He says, Beasley, it's not my fault. ARP, I'm going to kill you. Or whatever, right? This is today. This is today. Twerk, run over to King of the Dot. Um, TBL. How about I left the battle rap out. Power Moves card. Who was on that? Right. Shout out to Bags and Bodies from Holla. You got all QB. She launched the league. Goods and Clips, or definitely Clips, is starting to promote a possible platform coming up. Right. You got all this types of stuff, and nobody's saying "f you" anymore. Um, you if you're gonna call one of the best leagues of all time that could literally snap their fingers today if they want, if that's KFC, what are all these other platforms, Surf? So I did a blog like either right before Surf came home or like a little bit after, and I was like, "Yo, is he outdated about some of his approaches?" Because when he did that initial space, there was things being said in there that was like a little bit outside of what his peers or his homies or his URL brethren were actually exercising. A Chess, a Rock, all these other battlers, some of the biggest names in a Geechee. These people were everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like Geechee would have been on RBE like right, well, actually last month on in May. You know what I'm saying? If he and free Geechee if he wasn't locked up, and it would have been versus Show Off. The card right after the Calico and Show Off card was going to be Calico and A Ward and Show Off and Geechee. We had a negotiate as knowledge, you know, numbers, everything taken care of. We just didn't sign the contract yet. We're just waiting to finish the Calico and the Show Off card. You know what I'm saying? So some of the biggest names, some of the best battle rappers in the world, they're everywhere. Surf, you missed the Hitman and the Lux moment. That's how Lux and Rum Nitty happened. Okay. Lux was beating my door down to get that battle done. You know what I'm saying? We had three-way calls and all types of, yeah, I mean, a lot going on, conversations. I was in retirement mode and Hollow was in fallback mode and Lux was in war mode. And then Lux was like, yo, fuck, we don't gotta be Holla. How about who else? What's up with Rum Nitty? And I said, go tweet it. Kick up the dust. Let's see what people are saying. He tweeted it, and then the battle got booked somewhere else in 5 seconds. You know, so this is the landscape. It has greatly changed. People win Cody's from their activity. People are able to make the type of money that isn't available from like one league anymore by moving around. And when I look at videos from Chess, who is gun titles, correct? These people or these guys, the Chess, the Rocks, and the Surfs. Oh, there's another guy that I want to mention. Used to be gun titles or used to be Cave or still is Cave. Chef Trez, one of the best battle rappers in the world, one of the most respected, one of the most talented, one of the most active. He may have touched more platforms than any other battle rapper, and he still moves like that to this day. Hell, he was on my last card about a month ago. Right? Shout out to Trez versus King Los on YouTube right now for y'all to go check out with the fourth round freestyle. And what, two Cody's back, he was like, he finished like top 3, top 5. Same type of movement everywhere. I don't know if Surf knows this or if he realized or understands how much the game has opened up. So when I see one of his brothers, like a Chess, you know, saying, hey, I want to have a difference of opinion conversation with Surf publicly on camera.
I was kind of I don't want to revamp what I was saying to Uncle Ra earlier, but I was kind of just telling Uncle Ra about that because you know Surf had certain comments about the industry and certain niggas battling everywhere, and I was just giving my take on it. Like I feel a little differently, you know what I'm trying to say? And I ain't really about to, like I said, revamp too much of what I said, but that's a conversation I would love to have with Surf, with bro, on camera. You feel me? Two different opinions and really putting it into perspective because there's some shit at this point the fans do need to understand. I was kind of I don't want to
and I can't finish the thought for Chess. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure. Shout out to 50 Minutes Fame and Hip Hop is Real. Maybe he said more on 50 Minutes of Fame, or maybe if you know he gets a chance to have this conversation on his own or with Surf, we'll hear more. You know, so I don't want to assume his whole thought, but this is today regardless. This is today. This is to a degree yesterday as well. All right. Money isn't available to hold you guys still. And that's what held a lot of people still. Or it's what kept people from signing certain type of deals or contracts or being overly battle rappy and loyal. Because like you take an A Ward, for example. A Ward, he bet on himself. A lot of other top tier of Arsenal. These are people that move all over the place. An ill will, like a lot of these guys that banked on themselves, you know, they were able to move around a little bit more and they had relationships with and they have relationships with platforms that actually can cut a good check. So you can go over to URL and do a battle. And then you can go over to RBE and get a good check. You can go over to King of the Dot and do a good check. And then you could bounce over to the to Bullpen or Battle Academy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, like a Rex or even a Rock that came through those platforms as well. You could do those things, you know. Today, if you're signing exclusivity contracts today, you pretty much have to be an up and comer, right? And that's somebody that's banking on this is the next Wemby or some shit like that. And it's very hard to create stars in a field like today because you either have to have that type of pace, they have to be battling those type of opponents, which means you have to invest in like a big blood, sweat, and tears type of match to help get some light on some of these up and coming guys. Clips was just talking about that recently in an interview, talking about like, yo, Mook needs to battle a Chef Trez, or they need to come down and battle. That's the whole blood, sweat, and tears concept. You guys are late. Well, you guys aren't. You guys know what it is, but you know, but that's what that concept is about. You know what I'm saying? And I look at a surf and I say, do you really believe that some of these other platforms you shouldn't entertain or your peers shouldn't entertain? I'm curious what his mentality is right now. Is it URL or nothing? Is it stay away from KFC? Is it you guys battle? Because even in his space, he took shots at people that, in my opinion, like when he said like this league, oh, out selling shit or whatever. I thought he was talking about Arsenal. I didn't get that from Surf. Didn't say that in his space, and Arsenal didn't tell me that. I think he was talking about Arsenal. You know what I'm saying? But Arsenal clears how much a year from moving all over the place and stamping his passport and battling, and he maintains relationships with everybody everywhere. And there's a bunch of up and comers that do that too. But going back to the up and comers, if you are up and comer and a league believes that you can be the next Wemby or some shit, right? And they want to fast track you or they want to get you the matchups that cost a little bit more money and put you in some of these big names or on these big cards where you can get that type of exposure and hopefully even get you to the highest viewed platform, viewership content platform in the world, which is YouTube, get you some views. Then yeah, you have potential to, I don't know about stars in today's battle rap from what we've seen, becoming the next Tay Rock, becoming the next Tsu Surf, the next Hitman, the next Murder Mook. We're not seeing that. You know what I mean? But at least becoming the next top tier, some form of a draw, some form of a, hey, we'll spend $50 on this pay-per-view because this person is on it, or he's one of the people that's on it. You don't see that enough to even contract, you know. Are you writing a contract that says I'm an up and comer and King of the Dot? You just asked me to be exclusive to you for the next 12 months or abide by certain terms as far as my movement for the next 24 months, right? Are you guaranteeing me a blackout? Are you guaranteeing me a massacre? URL, are you guaranteeing me a gnome or Summer Madness that's actually in the contract? Am I getting a certain amount of money that maybe somebody else wouldn't offer me? Am I getting a certain level of opponent, or can I get some damn guaranteed opponents in the damn contract? Or am I just pretty much restricting myself to you? And this is pretty much a one-sided contract or a one-sided deal. You know, there's only people that are signing those type of deals today. The people that have names, there's not enough money or availability or opportunity or viewership to keep people still. So that's where loyalty is dead. And my philosophies are proven for sometimes the wrong reasons, right? Because I always want to see the quality, but at least the actual reasons behind the shit to begin with has finally been fully exposed by 2026, even though a lot of us knew this years ago. You know, let's look at Rock. Use another GOAT, another super top tier, another Mount Rushmore candidate. Um, Look at the caption to this. It says, Tay Rock tells Tsu Surf, you said if I battle O Solo, gun titles is over. You know what? I don't even need to play it. Y'all could go play it for yourself. Shout out to Hip Hop Israel. Go to their Twitter or go to their channel. Surf. URL has to land a huge sponsor. They need to pull in a whole bunch of new money that they're going to spend, and it has to be consistent, and it has to have some type of longevity to it for you to have the backing to talk like that. And that's just reality. Um, if you battle, if you book Yoshi or Averb, I'm going to RB. If it, you got to look around, man. And shout out to Surf, man. Shout out to Surf. Like he could still be the man on stage, but the rest of the game, it ain't that. It ain't that. Like Rock is not making $20,000 a battle. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even trying to go into the number thing like that because I know things and I hear things. You know what I mean? And also people have been here so long, you know, who do you want Rock to battle? You know, who do you want Arsenal to battle? Who do you want Chef Threat? Chef Threat's got a lot of but who do you want some of these people to battle? If they're gonna keep battling. You know, retirement gets spoken about sometimes by certain people, you know, but there being financial incentive. For some people, I think they're going to battle rap well into their mid 40s and maybe into their late 40s. Why? Because it's one of the primary sources of income that's available. And if you got that type of name and I get a call and I could go pick up $5,000, I'm there. You know, like what do you expect people to change their careers and go get a whole different type of job by the time they're 40, 45 or whatever, if they've never been building up this type of stuff or becoming an entrepreneur or transitioning all these years? No, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. Like pulled up on Holla's food truck the other day. You know, we were just building about it. He told me some numbers from like the first weekend. I was just like, you know, guys got other stuff going on. Doesn't even have to rap, but there's a lot of battle rappers that technically like they have to rap. I don't know. Let me take Rock down before somebody thinks I'm talking about Rock. I'm not talking about anybody specifically, but there's people that have to rap, you know? So if you guys want to go back to a time where you had like two, three, four, maybe five core strong leagues, it presented competitive nature that made everybody fight harder, made everybody book better, made everybody spend more money, made everybody scratch for the biggest and the best cards. Even the storylines of, well, this is this weekend, this is next weekend, or the rare breeds versus the summer mat, all of that is it set battle rap on fire. But there's money at the core of all of it. At the core of all of it. And the movement of a lot of the battlers and the past loyalty that people swore that they had can't even keep people still anymore. So you got league owners that used to say, don't do that. Now they got to say, go get your bag because they don't got the money to keep you still. Okay. And so you guys know not how important certain leagues are at certain times. You know, I got Surf's money right now. I could cover his check right now. Just a retired guy. Respect the people that bring that type of money in and create those type of opportunities because when they're not there, a lot of shit unravels, a lot of truths are revealed, and a lot of revelations come about. They come about. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But I thought it was an interesting topic to see Chess talking about, you know, his difference of opinion as far as, and then the whole, if you battle old solo, you know, Surf got to catch up, you know, unless his home platform, his home league gets a new big sponsor or influx of money that they start to spend again, you know, or lands new sponsors or people that come in and continues to support consistently, or else the game is the game. You know what I'm saying? So sorry, it's true.